Hello. This is a tutorial for this heart granny square MacBook sleeve. It can work with any, like if you wanted to use a different granny square pattern. I have made it with like this regular granny square, anything that measures, I'll include the exact measurements, but anything that measures this size is like the perfect sleeve cover. So this is what it looks like with my MacBook. It's like the perfect size. You just kind of slide it in, and this is it with my MacBook inside of it. And it's perfect for like if you wanted to bring your MacBook around on campus, to class, whatever. It's like perfect, and it's super easy to make. It's no sew. We just kind of like crochet the granny squares together as we go. I'll include all of the materials and the specific like abbreviations for the written pattern. I'll have that all on the screen as well, so you can follow along. And yeah, as you can tell, I love to make them. They're super easy. I have this other sleeve that I've made, but it's not the same pattern, but I have like 5 sleeves that I've made just because they're so easy to make. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this tutorial. I have all my materials here. I'm using 2 colors of cotton yarn, size 4 medium. I have my 5mm crochet hook, a tapestry needle, and some scissors. Taking my pink yarn, and we're gonna be making the little heart in the middle. I'm gonna make a slip knot and chain 4. And then just slip stitching into the first chain that I made to make a circle. To start row 1, I'm chaining 3, and then into the middle of the circle there, I'm going to be placing all of my double crochets. I'm going to do 2 double crochets. And then I'm going to chain 2, and then do 3 double crochets. And then chain 2 again, and finish off the rest of the round with 3 more double crochets, chaining 2, and then 3 more double crochets, chaining 2. At the end of the round, I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of the first or the third chain there to finish off the row. For the start of row 2, I'm going to start with a slip stitch into the next stitch. So this takes us to the middle of the 3 double crochets. Now we're just going to go into 8 double crochets into the chain space. We're not chaining any from there, just start with your 8 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 1 and do a single crochet into the next corner space. Then chaining 1 again, and going into the middle double crochet, skipping 1 stitch, going into the middle one, we're going to be putting 2 single crochets, and then we chain 1 and then put 2 more single crochets into the same space. We're now going to chain 1 again and put a single crochet into the next corner stitch. chain 1 again and put 8 double crochets into the last corner space. So I've now finished those 8 double crochets. To finish off the round, I'm going to chain 1 and slip stitch into the middle of the chain from where we started, where we started / ended on the first round. And that's our little heart. So we're done using the pink yarn. Taking my red yarn now, and I'm going to pull it through our last loop that we left with the pink. I'm just going to pull tight on the pink yarn now and tie the 2 ends together to secure them. Okay, I'm going to start by chaining 1, and we're working in the back loops only on this round, so all the way around only in the back loops. I'm going to start by single crocheting 3. I'm going to weave in my ends as I go, but I'm going to do 3 single crochets. Chaining 2. And working now 4 single crochets along. Now I'm doing a half double crochet, a double crochet into this next one, and a triple crochet or a treble crochet into this last one. Now I'm chaining 2 and going into the next stitch, double crochet. Okay, a half double crochet, a single crochet, and we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And remember, all of these stitches are worked into the consecutive stitches, so we're not doing any into the same stitch. And we're going to do basically the same thing just on the other side now. So I'm single crocheting, half double crochet, and continue with the pattern. The written stuff is on the screen. So just to finish off the round, I'm skipping the last stitch and I'm single crocheting into the middle stitch from, again, the round before. And then we're just going to slip stitch to end, and we'll keep going with this yarn for the next round. So I'm chaining 3 and going into the first corner space, we're going to put 3 double crochets. And chaining 2 and putting 3 more into the same space. And then we're going to skip 3 stitches and put it into the 4th stitch. So there should be 7 on each side, so put it into the middle stitch and just put 3 double crochets into that middle stitch. And then again for the corner, we're going to do the same thing. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into the same space. And repeat this until we get to the end of the round. I'm now just slip stitching into the top of the first stitch from the round just to finish it off. So this is our completed granny square. You can cut the yarn here now and make 11 of these, or 12 in total. For one of them, the 12th one or whatever, we're going to do an extra round for that, so just keep the yarn attached to, I usually just do like the last one I'm doing, so just keep the yarn attached and we're going to be doing an extra round for one of the squares. So for the last square we're doing an extra round, so I'm going to start by chaining 3, and it's the same for what we did previously. In the corners we're going to be doing 3 double crochets, 2 chains and 3 double crochets into the same space, and then in every space along the edges we're just going to do 3 double crochets and then repeat that until you finish. So just the corners have more stitches in them, and then the chain, or just the spaces in between, just do 3 double crochets. I'm just finishing off the row here, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top to finish off the row, and we're going to keep the yarn attached. Okay, so to start joining them together, I have my one with the extra row on the right side, and make sure the smaller one's always on the left side. So I'm going to go into the bottom corner just so that the hearts are lined up, and slip stitch into that bottom corner, and then I'm going to put 3 double crochets into that space on the smaller square. So I'm now going to slip stitch into the next space on the other one. It's like the 3rd stitch from the beginning, or like this space, and then we're just going to bring it back to this one and double crochet into the next space on here. So we're putting 3 double crochets here, and then slip stitching again back on the other one. We're skipping 3 stitches and going into this space, and we're just slip stitching there, and then without chaining or anything, going back into this one and putting 3 double crochets. Again, slip stitching into that space, or skipping 3 stitches and then slip stitching into the next stitch, and then putting our last 3 double crochets to finish off this row, or this edge, and then slip stitching into the final corner space. So that's one edge crocheted together. This way we don't have to sew in the ends or anything, we just kind of like crochet as we go. There are other tutorials on YouTube if you want to find a better one. I know it's kind of a little bit hard to see if you've never done this before. So I'm now going to go along the top side now, and I'm going to start by chaining 1 and going into the corner space, putting 3 double crochets. And then just putting 3 double crochets into each of the next spaces along that edge, like how we did for the previous rounds, just normally. So I just went all the way up till the corner space and only putting 3 double crochets into the corner space and then chaining 1. And I'm going to add now my next square. I just kind of add the squares wherever I want to. There's no like pattern on adding them. I just make sure that I'm getting the correct number of rows in between each, so they each have like the same, they're each the same size. So just lining it up and going into the corner with a slip stitch. I'm now going to double crochet 3 into that space. And then slip stitching onto the side again, the right side, just going into that space. It should line up, so like each double crochet is going to line up with the double crochets on the other side, so you can kind of use that to tell. I'm just putting 3 double crochets into the next space and then going into the next space and slip stitching into it there, and then putting again 3 double crochets into the next space. So you just move along the edge. And putting my final 3 double crochets into the corner space. And then slip stitching into the corner of the square on the right. And just chain 1. And then I'm going to work along the top side of that square on the left again. Now I'm just going to go along and keep adding squares like how I've shown you here. Okay, this is what my sleeve is looking like so far. I'm going to show you the corner. So always make sure that the bigger square is on the right and the smaller square that you're crocheting into is on the left. So I just folded it here. I have the bigger ones on the right and the smaller ones on the left, and just continue going along crocheting into the corners. It's just a little bit different, like you just have to fold it in a way that kind of makes sense, and then you just keep going. So I've slip stitched into the corner, and I'm just going to add my 3 double crochets. And then just going into slip stitch on the bigger square on the right, just in that space, and just keep going like that along the side. So I now have added all of my squares together using the method that I showed you. For the final step, I'm just going to single crochet in each of the stitches along the top just to create a little finish, because it's a little bit bumpy. So I'm just going to even it out a little bit. So I'm just pulling through with my red yarn, and I'm going to tie a knot at the top. And then just inserting my hook, and I'm gonna start by pulling through a loop and chaining 1, And then I'm going to weave in this end as I go and just single crochet into each of the spots along the top. In the corners, you can single crochet into the spaces, and that just helps keep it not too tight. So this is what it's looking like after I wove in all the ends inside as well. So this is the finished product. Thanks so much for watching.